Hello, and welcome to Sir's Baked Goods. Today we're going to be making pie crust. We're going to be doing a big prep day because I'm going to be making 3 covered pies and a lattice pie later down the road. Because covered pies are 1 1/3 recipe, having 3 of those makes it 4 recipes, and then you add 1 more for the lattice. So that'll be a total of 5. So let's get into it. To start off, we're going to have our flour and salt mixed together. Just give it a nice little spread around. Then we're going to add in our cold diced butter. If you're making 1 recipe at a time, you can use the food processor. It works a lot faster and a lot quicker. However, because I'm making so much, I have to use a bigger bowl, and this is the only machine I have that can do that. But if you're just making 1, it's far quicker, takes like 5 seconds while using the food processor versus a mixer. A mixer will take anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes depending on what speed you're going. So let's get this mixing up and get it rubbed in before we add in our liquids. To get this started, we're just going to go on 1, turn it on, off until it starts to semi-mix, and then we'll just leave it on at 1. But watch it carefully, because if you let this go too long, you're just going to flatten all the butter in, and you still want it to be slightly mealy so you get that nice flaky texture. So be very careful when you're using a machine. So once you get to this stage where it's nice and mealy, you have a few big chunks and a few medium chunks, we're going to add in our liquid. This is our eggs and water. Make sure it's nice and cold for this recipe. Now be very careful, because this will take literally 5-20 seconds to get this to form a dough. And with the machine, it's going quickly, so you're gonna quickly over knead the dough if you let it go any time past that. So just watch and see how quick it is. And that's it. That's all you need. It's all starting to form a dough, and you can start to form this into your discs for the freezer. So I've weighed this out, and I've determined that 1 recipe is 525 grams. Since the lattice pie will just be 1 recipe and not 1.33 recipes, I'm going to weigh that one out first and then divide the last bit into 3 equal parts. So we're gonna just first weigh out our simple one. Make sure that this is starting to form into a dough more, so that when you do start rolling it out for your pie, it's not just dust and it's actually a dough. And then we're just going to portion out the correct amount. And there we are. Number 1 done. Now just make it into as nice of a circle as you can, and as flat as you can so it freezes quicker. These kinds of doughs love to be cold because you don't want the butter to be melting. So it's a perfect prep recipe to have a whole bunch of these in your freezer ready to go, so that you don't have to panic and make a whole bunch of dough before making your pies in the morning. Make sure you wrap it nicely so that it doesn't get any freezer burn, and then we're going to put this in the freezer. And to get this into 3 equal parts, 4 recipes should be right around 2,100 grams. Divide that by 3 and you get about 700. So we're going to make sure that we weigh out 525 first for the bottom, and then the rest as the top. And the reason why you're going to do this is you're going to make two discs instead of just 1. When making 2 discs like this, it makes it a lot easier and makes you not work the dough as much when you finally make your dough. So that's the first part. make this into a nice disc, flatten it out. And so when you roll this out, you're working it and you're making it denser and denser, and then if you use that extra pieces off of it as your topping, it's going to be a little bit more dense and not as flaky. So to counteract that, we'll make that second disc and just saran wrap it to this one as well. Do it this way so that looks good. So now we need to get to 700. Just mixing this up a bit because it's a bit floury. And that's how we're gonna do it. Now we have a nicely wrapped bottom and top. We will be getting some of the excess off the bottom for the top, but this extra piece that won't be worked whatsoever will really help keep it nice and flaky for the covering of the pie. So let's quickly get the next two done, and then we're done for today. Now that we're done, here's how they turned out, looking good. You can look forward to seeing all the new pies I'll be making relatively soon. I just wanted to make sure you had an in-depth look at what you can do to prep yourself before a long day of baking. You can do this the night before, a week before. Remember, this dough and doughs like this, for example, like the tart dough, love to be cold, which makes freezing them even better than if you made them the day of. All you need to do to use this dough is take it out of the freezer the night before, let it fully thaw out in the fridge so nothing goes bad, and then just roll it out like you normally would. So if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I even have my own website. Thank you, and have a nice day.